morning, Professor.
Good morning.
So welcome in Toulouse.
Thank you.
And we would like to have more information about yourself, please.
Of course. My name is Maria Elana Villar. I'm originally from Puerto Rico, but I've been living in Miami for 20 years now. I've been a faculty member in FIU, Florida International University, for 10 years. And I am the chair of the Department of Communication. I teach courses in communication theory, research, but my passion and my specialties are multicultural communication and communication for social change.
All right, thank you. Can you talk about multi-communication?
Multicultural communication?
Multicultural communication?
Of course, it's the study and practice of communication, both intercultural, of communication between people of different cultures, but also multicultural communication, which is communicating to a diverse audience that includes people from many different cultures. And so the area that I do the most work in is trying to understand the audiences, who they are, where they come from, where they stand on different issues and topics that we want to communicate with them about, and so that we can craft the best messages that are going to be well received, culturally competent, and therefore effective.
Okay, so you gave us many conferences. What are you doing with University Toulouse One Capital?
So I'm here because I've been working on a collaboration with Professor Nicolas Tilly from University Toulouse Capitole. And we have been collaborating on different projects related to health communication and communication for social change. And in fact, we're building a formal collaboration where we have research projects with two core areas or axes. One health communication and one multicultural communication. And we have some projects that we're replicating in both sites, and we hope to have annual meetings where we compare findings and work together on research. And we hope to have student and faculty exchanges and professor exchanges, and also a summer program where our students can come to Toulouse and experience the cultural diversity and the vibrant student body that exists here.
Okay, are we going to have the chance to come to the US to study too?
I hope so, yes. Student exchanges was part of the plan, yes.
Okay. So you said you were a professor of communication. How do you see the communication in time and place where everything is changing so fast? How do you see it?
Yes, definitely computer-mediated communications are changing everything. So a lot of the communication theory and studies that were done at the beginning of our discipline have had to be adapted to a world where everybody uses the internet, where everybody's on social media, and those technologies are part of business communication, political communication, and interpersonal communication. So it's, in that sense, it's a very interesting discipline to be in right now, because so much is changing, and also everybody identifies with it. We all communicate, and we all use communication technologies. So we all consume media, most of it, with very few exceptions. A lot of what we think we know about the world, we learn from media. A lot of what we share with our friends, we now share electronically. So all of that is very important to study as part of communication. But I'm still very intrigued by the interpersonal piece, the impact and the importance of family, friends, physical surroundings in informing who we are and what we believe and how we react to things. So all of that lends itself to a lot of interesting multidisciplinary research to work with people in other fields and how communication plays a role.
All right, thank you. So internet have changed the way we interact, and we have found that social media are creating some health problem. Did you have the chance to, people like to be alone, they stay alone by themselves, and do you have the chance to study that those brand new comportment?
Well, that's not my area of specialty, but I certainly have read about it and have observed it, of course, in the students. So I would say I have mixed opinions about that, because on the one hand, social media and the fact that you are able to socialize without leaving the home, and you're able to entertain yourself just with devices, has its bad side. So people are to a certain extent losing some social skills, losing the ability to talk to strangers and to engage in small talk. But at the same time, for people with a lot of social anxiety or mobility issues, it really changes their lives for the better. It allows people who would not be able to leave the house for many reasons to still have a social life, to still have friends and exchange ideas. So I would say that, like any technology, the technology itself is value neutral. It's what we do with it that's going to determine how it ultimately impacts human development.
All right. Last night you gave us a conference. Can you summarize it, really quick?
Of course. Yesterday I spoke to a group of students about the work I've done in stigma reduction, especially around the area of mental health, and especially among immigrants, and looking at the cultural impact on stigma. And the motivation for that was realizing that many immigrants who are under a lot of stress with a lot of need for mental health support do not seek it out due to stigma, for fear of discrimination, or for kind of embarrassment, or different understandings of what it means to seek psychological or psychiatric help. So we worked with community members. We did community-based participatory research with a lot of hours of interviews and observation in the field with partners from the community, and to really learn how people understood stigma and what kinds of messages we could use to overcome them, and worked together with them to create stories. So we created fotonovelas, or graphic stories, in Spanish, and we created radio stories in Haitian Creole, depicting kind of typical scenarios that might occur with parents facing situations where their children could use mental health services. And it gave us the opportunity to talk in the community about an issue without talking about any particular real person, and also having people think through what would be the right thing to do. When do I feel it's okay to seek services, and when do I think it can be taken on at home? And how do we balance the clinical approach that we have to mental health in the United States to perhaps the more alternative and complementary approach from some kind of home cultures? And it generated a very interesting input and feedback, and I hope that it helped our participants feel more comfortable seeking services.
I know you speak French.
Pas vraiment.
If you want to say something in French, that'd be wonderful.
Like what?
I don't know. How's your life in France?
Oh,
je suis
très contente d'être ici. J'aime bien les gens français. I don't know.
Thank you.
I needed time to prepare.
If you want to talk about something special about your work in the US or something like that, if you want to share with us.
Well, maybe what I can share is that I really see the work that I do, both as an educator and as a researcher, as something that has impact, and that gives me a lot of satisfaction. I think many people would like to have jobs that mean something, and I'm fortunate to have a job like that, because what I do as an administrator and as an educator impacts the life and the future of young people trying to find out who they are and what they're going to do in life and how they're going to leave a mark. And I feel very passionate about the research that I do, specifically the area of culture, and making sure that when we design interventions or campaigns or messages, we take into account that not everybody thinks the same, and that many people can feel left out of messages that are for the mainstream and generic. So I'm very motivated by the ability to engage with communities that maybe are left out of the larger conversation and see how everybody's voice can be heard. So I feel lucky.
All right. Thank you, Professor.
Excellent. Thank you.